Hi, everybody. This is Cheryl Grant. I'm Director of Social Networking for the Haystack MacArthur Foundation Digital Media and Learning Competition. Today, we are doing a round robin, as we call them, of grantees from the Project Connect Summer Youth Programming Competition who will be talking for a short period of time about their projects. We'll be doing several of these. This is the first in our series. So I'm going to begin by introducing K5 from the Free Library of Philadelphia. We're going to have short presentations, then we'll have a little time for questions, and we'll go through about 5 of our projects today. So K5, if you'd like to take it away.
Great, thank you so much. I'm going to show my screen right now. Ruby, does this look okay?
Looks good now.
Can everyone see what I'm doing? Hopefully you can. All right, so great, perfect. So my name is K5 Steele. I'm a team programming specialist at the Free Library of Philadelphia. And our Project Connect initiative is called Connected Messages. And I'm really excited to be able to share everything that we did this summer. It was really fast. It was really exciting. And it gave us a lot to jump forward with in the future. So Connected Messages was a partnership, or is a partnership, between the Free Library and eCrafting.org, which is an NSF-funded project coming out of the University of Pennsylvania. And this was all built upon a MakerEd grant that we received to run maker programs for about 6 weeks this summer in 5 different library locations. And that's the Maker John logo that you see on the side. So all of these sites that we worked with are underserved communities in Philadelphia. So 2 of them are in library branches, and 3 of them were in free library hotspots, which are partnerships between the library and community organizations. So it's community embedded librarianship. So we were running maker programs in these sites, and it ranged from things like what you're seeing here, art bots. We did a scratch day through the Penn GSE also. But it was working with different kinds of populations, primarily teen, but also some middle school and some younger kids too. But one thing we realized is that all 5 of these sites were really distinct in terms of population. Philly is a city of neighborhoods, which can be really positive and also can be kind of negative. Some of our kids didn't go between neighborhoods because of social or racial reasons. So for this Project Connect grant, our design problem was, is there a way that we can create an initiative that will not only teach kids about electronics through a creative lens, allow them to participate as individuals, but with a project where the sum is stronger than individual parts? We were thinking like, well, imagine like a kid making like one quilt square and then all together makes this large, beautiful quilt. We wanted to create a project that they would find personally relevant and connect them locally, meaning throughout the city, between all these separate, disparate neighborhoods, and as well as globally through something like the internet. So our solution that we came up with is these Connected Messages murals, and these are 5 of them that we had at our final celebration. Okay, so Connected Messages, the project, is comprised of 2 elements. So all of these murals that you see here, they're about 4 feet by 4 feet, and then there's an interactive web application. So the youth at each site creates their own 5-inch square box. Here are some early prototypes, and it sits within the matrix of a larger mural. So these are like their single squares on that giant quilt. So after being shown how to connect an LED in the center of the box, it ends up looking something like this. And then they decorate the outside with drawings and cutouts according to each library's theme. Like one theme would be kindness, another one would be community, and I'll talk more about this later. So when the LED in the box is turned on, the artwork for that particular box, like you can see here, is illuminated. And each complete mural is connected to the internet through an electric imp and has its own webpage on connected.ecrafting.org, and I'll share that link later also. So this is us laying out the boards. So each of these lines that you see, these are all copper tape, and one direction it's like the positive leads, and the other direction it's the negative leads. This gives you a bit of a clearer view of how this looks. So it's basically like a big DIY circuit board and a piece of foam core. And this is all it's totally soldered to this electric imp. It looks like the thing that holds an SD card, and there's a LED matrix controller on all of that too. So the next thing was to get this out in the community, and I just want to read a couple of lines from this. This is one of our mentors from one of his blog posts. So we began to discuss the theme and talk about things that they think of when they think of their community. So we heard their initial responses of, it's not safe, it's no good, I stay inside and watch TV. I wasn't entirely shocked by these comments. I could see what their community is like every day, and I don't live that far away either. But I was able to get them to discuss positive things. A lot of the positive emotions came from thoughts of family or statements like, well, I love my mom, so we went with that. So this is just trying to get kids to talk about the positive things of their community as opposed to focusing on the things like, you know, they're closing all these schools and they're building a prison and stuff like that. So that was that. And this is the kids making some boxes. And you can see the mural kind of coming together by the kid with the Reese peanut butter cup shirt. And I can actually show you what this looks like when the whole thing is lit. Kids were able to use the web application to send messages to the screen and send messages to kids in other branches. So here's an example of what it looks like when they've sent a message to each other. So again, imagine this being like a 4-foot by 4-foot mural. Okay, so when a youth completes a square, they're also given the opportunity to record themselves talking about the meaning behind their one square, and then that gets uploaded to the page about the individual creator. Okay, so this all ended with a maker celebration in our central library, where over 50 of these youth presented connected messages and other projects, and we invited groups like the Clay Studio, which was another Project Connect winner, to participate with their Outreach Claymation Learning Labs project, and it was fantastic. I mean, the kids really took ownership over this project and their other projects. Over 200 people registered for the event. So all of these Connected Messages murals are returning to their library sites later this month. We were able to get this project into the Maker Fair. So if anyone's in New York this weekend, please come and visit us. We're inside the New York Hall of Science. The greatest thing about this DML grant is that it provided us really with a stepping stone to improve our programming this summer and develop new ideas that had some legs. And we plan to do this project in 2 additional sites this fall, learning from what we did over the summer, like teaching kids more about web apps and maybe even some soldering, and weaving some ways of getting them to discuss and write about community through creative technology some more. And if you wanted to learn more, there's some of our URLs at the bottom, and I'll pop those into the chat as well.
That is fantastic. That just looks so great. I want to be really conscious that we have other people. I could ask you a dozen questions. I'm sure other people do as well. But let's try and go through the presentations, and then we can ask questions in chat. See if you have any. If anybody else has questions. Otherwise, let's go through to Patrick. Are you ready, Patrick?
Yes, I'm ready.
And Patrick is with Racket Up Detroit.
Okay, does this look good to everybody?
Looks good to me.
Okay, great. Well, thanks for organizing this today and having us all together. My name is Patrick Morris. I'm the academic director at Racket Up Detroit. Here's our homepage right here for our organization. Racket Up Detroit is a year-round out-of-school youth development program that uses squash and community service and fitness and academics and mentoring to make a difference in the lives of Detroit youth. So our project for the DML5 competition was a 2-week-long summer camp called Are You Connected 2013. This was our second annual literacy and technology camp. This summer it had 15 middle school participants in the camp, and it ran, we have a community center as our home base in Detroit, and it ran every day from 9 until 2:30 every day. So I'll take us tour a little bit of the website. The first thing to note is that our camp had a theme this year. So the theme was deception. So we talked a lot about this really rich and deep topic through all of the activities that we did. The first, we had a book club, so we kept with our literacy focus for this camp, and we read the book Gathering Blue. It's a part of the Giver series by Lois Lowry, so it has lots of mystery and deception present in it. The main tech activities that we did was, the first is that we looked at and created our own hoax websites. So again, fitting with the theme of deception, we studied and cataloged various hoax websites. So you can see a couple here. We looked at them, and then we took all the information to create our own. We used Weebly to make our own websites. The goal here is to make to inform our students to be active consumers of information that they find online, and also to be good at making judgments about what is credible versus what is not credible in finding things on the internet. The second thing, our main project, I'll flip back to our homepage, was creating a short public service announcement. So this was like a short little advocacy video where the students picked a topic of their choice and then made a short video presenting on this topic. Most of the students used Animoto to do this, and the goal here was so that they could effectively present information that they had found on the internet. A couple other main components of our camp that I'll click to quickly is this one is called challenges. So every day we had students set up with email addresses. So every day, maybe once or twice each day, we would send out these challenges. So you can read through a couple here. So this one, B highlight, they had to find out how to make an audio recording, and then they also had to send it back through email. So these were just daily challenges that were really fun for the students, but also tested their skills at finding information online and then sending it along. And at the end, one of the students always kind of explained how they went about this problem. And the other main component, I'll click to, is we called it a tech mentor team. So the goal here was we wanted the participants in the camp to be able to be productive and be useful beyond just the 2-week camp. So we wanted them to feel empowered to truly be leaders and really have a strong set of skills and knowledge related to technology in order to be teachers of this material to others. So it lists our candidates, was all of those that participated in the camp, and then the students who actually earned this designation as a tech mentor. Flipping down to right here is a picture of us on our final day, and we had an open house where we invited all of the friends and families who participated in this camp, and the students who had earned it earned their tech mentor badges and certificates. And we also really fun, we showcased all of the hoax websites that the students had made, and then the short public service announcement videos as well, and then the parents in the room and the family members and the friends actually voted on who they felt made the strongest website or who made the strongest public service announcement. And then we gave out some awards and recognition for those students that earned those designations. And we also gave out Tech Mentor badges over the course of the camp. So this is a chart that shows the badges that were earned over the course of the camp. And then this is also something that is ongoing right now. Finally, the last little bit about our camp thing to note is that it was we have some education research individuals who work with us from Michigan State University, and we actually were awarded a grant from the American Educational Research Association to actually study this camp. So we're currently doing interviews, we're doing screen capture to truly study the effectiveness of this camp and whether students enjoyed this camp. And the last point I'll make, scrolling down a little bit, is there is some information anecdotally about what our campers are saying about it. So you can see this one says, my favorite activity, so what she enjoyed was making the hoax website. We did an activity where we made quilts as it related to sending patterns, sending messages. This person again mentions hoax websites. This person mentions it was a great experience. So anecdotally, we've heard a lot of positive things, and we hope to continue the positive going forward. And then also, we're going to use the findings of the study to inform our everyday programming at Racket Up Detroit. So we're very excited to continue both with the students and both with the organization the gains we made with Are You Connected 2013 and with the support from the grant that we received. So that's it for me. Thank you all for listening, and I'll go back to listening to everyone else. Thank you.
Thanks, Patrick. That was great. I think I agree with Ruby, who put in Chatsy that that is such a great idea. It looks like the hoax website was a big hit. Deception is always interesting. So thank you. I'm going to move down the list to Ben and Josh. I think you're presenting together.
Is that working at all?
I can hear you. Should we be seeing your screen?
I thought I clicked okay. Okay. I haven't done this, so you're gonna have to work with me a little.
That's all right. We'll get there.
Okay. Well, we can move ahead without the
There you
screen, I
go.
guess.
We've got you now.
Okay, great. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so the project that we did was something that we called the Digital Citizenship Lab. And so we're pretty much, what we're known for is just kind of a year-round media programs, different types. And typically we don't work within themes. We'll have themed exercises or smaller projects, but we don't do a full lab that's themed. So that was kind of interesting that we got to do that this time. And what we focused on was rural broadband access, which kind of stemmed from conversations that we had already had with some of our previous interns and youth producers who were just talking about how where they lived, they either couldn't get internet access or they had very poor access. So we ended up working for the whole month of August. We started with 8, but unfortunately one individual couldn't finish the program. But we had 7 that we spent 4 weeks with, working with different types of media. Usually we just focus strictly on audio, or we focus strictly on photo or video. And this time we kind of went for a digital story style. So pretty much everybody in the program had done some other program with us. So they had some experience working with, creating radio pieces or videos or etc. But the cool thing was that through this, they got to branch out a little. So a lot of the kids that who had previously just worked with audio, they did photography for this workshop. Or if they had done video, they worked strictly with audio.
Yeah, and there were a lot of things that came through in this lab that really made it a different kind of AMI program, and I think the collaborative media aspect was one highlight for sure. We heard from folks doing photography for the first time that it was an absolutely mind-expanding experience, and then to pair the still photography with the audio really produced some pretty strong pieces. And so pretty much all of AMI's programming is really location-centric and centered around the place that we're in here in the Appalachian Mountains. And that came out in this program too, and we ended up with several multimedia pieces that talked about access disparity and what it means to be in a rural region with all these economic and social problems, and then this problem of internet access disparity on top of it. And so you're looking here at a blog post on our website that has some pictures of our group working here, and then screening their pieces at the end of the program. And then at the bottom you'll see links to all these videos and audio pieces that were produced during the program. And we won't take your time playing them right here, but we'll copy this link over to Chatsy and invite you all to check all the pieces out for yourself. We think it's some pretty incredible media that came out of a month-long program. Just to add, I think we should mention that AMI is a pretty unique program. We're here in a place where a lot of young people can't just take a week or a month off at a time to make media. And so our program is unique in that it's a paid program, and we consider all of our students interns, and we pay them for the work that they do. And this lab, this Digital Citizenship Lab, and the Project Connect grant really allowed us to push in the multimedia direction, and I think a lot of our interns really grew through that.
Yeah, I would just point out too, one of the things that was different with this lab was just how we structured the lab itself. Typically when we do after school programs, it's usually it's usually just like a Tuesday and Thursday for a couple hours, and this time where we had like a shorter time frame to work in, we extended that to Saturdays, so we worked like a total of 10 hours a week, and which actually is kind of restructuring, helped us realize that, you know, because it works so well, you know, we were actually able to pull this off, and so we're kind of restructuring our future after school programs to run in a similar vein. Yeah, and so we'll also share this with you. This was featured on the Making Connections website, and it aired on WMNT, and which is a radio station. And so obviously, you know, for the radio audience, the pictures weren't included, but they did feature all of the pieces that the young people made over the course of August. And we're hoping to schedule a talk show on WMT soon, like a roundtable with all of the producers.
Yeah, so there's already been some press and some media come out in response to this lab. I think it's the first program of its kind here in East Kentucky. And now that we've finished the 4-week program, we're taking a breath, and then we're going to work with the interns to set up an outreach plan and really try to get these pieces out there. Appleshop is involved in other work around broadband access issues, and we're hoping that our interns can collaborate with some more folks here in the community and try to get these pieces out to have the most impact that they can.
So, yeah, I think we'll share some links in Chatsy, and if you have any questions.
Yeah, thank you all.
Thanks.
Yeah, I hope you do. I am so impressed with how much everybody can get done in such a short period of time. By looking at some of just the examples of what everybody produced, you guys covered a lot of ground. Did your youth come in with some prior experience?
Ours had some in other media, but this was different for them.
Yeah, it looked very high quality. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Ben and Josh. We're going to move on to Alex.
Okay, great. Can you guys see my screen?
Yes, looks great.
Okay, great. So I am with the Connected Life program, and I'm the education volunteer there. And Connected Life is associated with FASI, the Filipino American Human Services Incorporated, based out of Queens, New York. And so this program was centered around, it's basically a media making workshop and digital storytelling workshop with Filipino American youth, but we actually invited all community members to participate, not just Filipino students. And so the idea is that it's centered around their stories and sort of what connects them to other young people. And so to begin and to kick off our program, we actually did a Skype conference with Marlene Montanez, who is with the LA Labor Federation. And so she actually sort of helped us kick off the program talking about the power of storytelling for young people, specifically the work that a lot of young people are doing with their stories to pass the DREAM Act, or to pass the DREAM Act in California. And so she sort of explained to the youth how stories are used to humanize them and to connect them to other people. And so she talked about testifying in front of Congress with her story and so forth. And so it just really helps students get in the frame of mind of the power of storytelling. And so with that, we started to reflect on ourselves and to think about that, because a lot of the young people came to us with, well, we don't really have any stories to tell. And so to sort of start with a reflective process, we actually had the young people make collages about themselves, and so they had an afternoon to make collages, and then we all shared out, and they were able, and there's a picture of someone documenting that, but we were able to have a discussion about sort of what people put on their collages about themselves. And so that really opened up a discussion with all of the young people about sort of ideas for their stories. And so that was an ongoing process. And so then we also had time to work on writing and thinking about those stories. And then sort of the next component of this storytelling process is sort of the media making, the digital component. And so to familiarize students, and I guess, Cheryl, to answer sort of the question you posed a minute ago, a lot of the young people had experience with technology and media making, but they actually hadn't really been given time to play. And so for us, playing and exploring was a big part of it. And that's what we feel really privileged that the grant was able to give and to put technology in their hands for them to really explore. And so we gave them iPads, and we said, all right, you have the afternoon to make a video about anything you want. And so sort of no rules, no constraints, and let them explore the different options that they could. And so we came up with a lot of things, and here you can see a picture of the kids. They decided to make chin puppets, but we also had music videos, dancing videos. We had a tour of the community center that we're based out of. And so that, again, really set the stage for them to think about their stories. And this video is actually hilarious, but kind of segueing into the next part, we also, the other layer on top of it is this ongoing discussion and these debates that we had about what kind of media we should be putting on the internet, and sort of the ideas around that. And so we had a lot of really rich discussions about things we wanted to share and what we should share, and really being sort of proactive and understanding what you're putting out there and how you're putting it out there. And so if you look at our blog post, I think I just put it up today, but I shared the guidelines that these young people came up with. And so they have a set of questions to sort of ask yourself before you share media. And so here's another picture of them sort of working together. And then sort of at the end of it, we all sort of came together at the end of each session. So it was a series of 10 workshop sessions. We'd come together and have some team building and community building. And sort of within that, again, was thinking about how do we build and connect over the internet. So this all culminated into a digital storytelling project, and the young people came up with quite a few stories. We started with 8 participants, but by the last workshop we had 20. It sort of snowballed because friends were telling friends and kids were showing up, and that's exactly what we wanted to happen, and we were so happy that the word was spreading, and that was sort of one of our unintended goals, I think. But their stories revolved around a lot of things that were really organic and interesting. Some of the topics were loss and death, young love, sort of identity and who they are and who they're becoming, issues about family. There were some music videos. A lot of the young people are really talented musicians. And then also just about sort of general recreation and like health and wellness and happiness and sort of ideas around that. And so what we are trying to do, and to be totally upfront with you guys, we're not done. We actually have 2 more meetings, but I just wanted to share now because I have the afternoon. But we have 2 more meetings, and so we're going to take these topics and sort of think about how we can leverage those to reach out to other young people. And sort of like AMI was saying, we're sort of taking a breath right now. The kids are starting the school year back up and so forth, so we've taken a breath, and these next couple meetings, again, are just to think about those outreach programs. We did a little bit of that in the summer, and if you were with us in our last webinar, I mentioned that we had reached out to a youth organization in Georgia and in California. And so there was another digital storytelling project in Georgia, so we got to view some of their videos, and they got to view some of ours. And so I think the young people who are between the ages of 15 and 18 were really trying to think of a way to think about how we could make this program and to kind of spread those connections. And so they're still brainstorming on that. And again, I'm just so excited because it is like in a very organic process that's unfolding. But our final event, we had a lot of different things. So this shows many of you may know this, but a lot of Filipinos come by way of Hawaii. So we had a local hula dancing group come in and do hula lessons for our final kickoff event, and then they did a performance. Also not pictured is we had the senior citizens group at the community center also participated in dancing, and the young people have already themselves talked about fostering digital storytelling with the senior citizen group and doing a program with them. And so, and here's a sort of final picture of us at the very end. And so that's just a really broad general overview of sort of what we did over the summer. And again, like I said, we have 2 more meetings, and we are also still talking about and deciding what is the best platform for our website. And so that we have a couple really talented young people who are working on that. And so that's sort of where we are. I can share when we have those videos posted, I can share those with you. And if you guys can actually indulge me for just 1 minute to see if this works, because when when you were sharing and we were at the very beginning of the meeting talking about seeing videos, I just wanted to know if you guys could to see and hear this. And if not, that's fine. Can you guys hear this? Was that something
I don't think we're hearing.
Okay, so I'll share the YouTube link with you for that video, but I just got really curious to see if that would work. But that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for
Alex.
listening, guys.
I'm curious, are you, and maybe this is a question for everybody, I know we've got Kari's coming up next, but I'm curious about the evaluation, like getting the feedback from your youth. I saw, it was the Racket Up Detroit, that there were some nice anecdotes from people, but are you going to be asking your youth what their experience was, how it all worked, or is it more just sort of a you're making it up as you go?
Oh no, so we're definitely going to do a program evaluation, and so the other volunteers who are a part of making this program possible are also educators. So I'm a teacher, and my focus, I'm getting my PhD in curriculum and pedagogy, and so we were really committed to sort of making a program that was based on the youth. And so we had some general ideas, and so that is probably that's going to be the focus of our evaluation, is understanding like how the young people were connected to the curriculum and to the program based on sort of that idea of making it student-centered and sort of directed by their talents and their experiences. So in our not this next session, but the final session we will have evaluation interviews to have the young people talk about their experiences through the program.
Great. And I hope after your 2 meetings and as you go forward, obviously the grant will be over, but it would be so interesting to find out how the spread, the virtual spread to Georgia and California works out, and if there's, you know, there's some I don't know what the right word is, not camaraderie, but like connections that you're able to make between these 3 different geographic locations. So please keep us updated if you find the time to loop back and follow up.
Definitely, we will, and also just something that we have been researching is to find youth organizations in the Philippines that we can reach out to share stories, because again, we have a lot of young people with transnational identities, and so that's a huge commitment on the part of the young people, is to make those connections with their fellow Filipinos.
Oh, that'd be wonderful. Well, I hope, and this goes to everybody else, I hope we hear as things develop for you. Well, we're invested, we're interested. So keep us in mind when you're blogging, that we'd love to know. Thank you. That was awesome, Alex. Thank you.
Great.
I'm going to call on Kari if you would like to start.
Hi. Hello, this is Kari. I'm from Radio Rookies in New York City. We're a part of WNYC Radio. And we basically, most of our work is in youth media training. We spend our time teaching kids how to make stories for the radio. And this kind of work is new for us. This project that we came up with, is That Could Be Your Sister project. It really came out of identifying a problem that came out of a story that one of our young people created. I'm sure, since you guys all work with teenagers, you know all of the issues that can happen on social media. And we had a kid, hold on one second, I'm just trying to figure out, I want to play audio and I'm just trying to see if I can do it. Oh, okay. So just a quick question to the organizers. People will play it individually, or how is this working?
People will play it on their own individually.
Hello?
So I'm pasting the link into the GoToMeeting.
I think actually, you know what I think would be better is, because I don't think people should listen to the whole thing. It's a little bit long. I'm going to try to just hold up my phone to the speaker, which I actually think should sound pretty good. And if it doesn't, if you could just message me that it doesn't sound good, because otherwise I think it'll be hard to sort of have everyone know when to dip out.
Okay, let's try it.
Okay, let's try it. And if it doesn't work, let me know. All right, hold on one second. So anyway, so one of our young people, Timoteo, this was about a year ago, she sort of said to us, you know, I'm getting really upset by all of the slut shaming that I'm seeing on my Facebook feed, and I'd like to do a story about it. And I want to just play a little excerpt of the story, because I think to understand the project that we did, it really came from this issue. And so I'd love for you to hear a little bit about what we were identifying as the problem. So let me just see if this works. Hold on. You know what? Hello?
Yep.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's because I'm in your screen mode, it won't play. So, so actually, if people, do people mind clicking onto that little, do you see in your chat screen, there's a little link there?
Most of the other folks are muted, so you might not
I'm
hear
not
them. But
hearing
if
it,
folks could,
seeing that, so.
if folks want to post in the chat, see if you're hearing it, just to let us all know that we're on the same page.
I just saw that someone heard it on the air, so that's great. Then I don't need to listen. So you know, because I can't tell if folks are hearing them, I don't want to. I don't want to sort of waste people's time or have this go on and on. I can sort of talk you through. So basically, what came out of this was we sort of identified that there's this huge issue going on where a lot of young people, their social media feeds are full of this content, and they feel really powerless. Whether if they're not participants, it's still something that they're sort of being exposed to, and then they're seeing their friends participating. So what is in Temitayo's story is she talks about there's a lot of explicit images that are posted of, you know, people she knows from school, and then other kids are liking it and sharing it, and there's not a lot of sense of responsibility. And there's certainly, I think, what was particularly hard for her to see was that even though she would report things, it wouldn't be taken down. And so out of this, there was this huge sense of like, you know, the story aired and all these people were like, what can be done about this? And so out of this came this idea of sort of creating kind of like a, I don't know, a cultural meme of that could be your sister. So like getting kids to sort of identify like, oh, that could be someone that I know. And so out of that idea, we partnered with this wonderful organization, Global Kids, to create a design challenge. And so using the DML competition money, we worked with Timoteo and a bunch of young people to create an event where we could bring young people together that they could come up with what do they think could be digital tools and solutions to combat sexual cyberbullying. And so sort of the process, like we considered, you know, the period of the grant was, sure, it was the event, but it was also the process of leading up to the event and kind of the design of the design challenge itself. I've never organized a design challenge, so this is very new for me. And basically, the thinking was that we would bring the kids together and break them up into groups and sort of throw to them the idea like, you know, what do you think would work to get kids to, you know, not do this, how could we get social media sites to take more responsibility, or is there some other creative way that we could use technology to do something about this? And so I'll walk you through a little bit what we did in terms of the, so as we brought 25 kids together for this project, and we asked them, like, you know, when it comes to seeing explicit images or slut shaming on your social media, how often do you see it? And I'd say, you know, of the kids in the room, there were a few who said once a year. There was not so many who said once a month, but when it came to kind of once a week and every day, there was probably like a quarter of the kids said that, and there were some kids who had no exposure. So we sort of divided them into groups. We had 5 groups, so they were going to be competing in teams, and we introduced them to the idea of all the different kinds of tools that they could come up with and create. And we had someone from Mozilla actually walk them through some of the different, you know, they could create an app, or they could talk about like a website that could be designed. Obviously, social networks are a critical piece in this. Text messaging, talking about how like the Obama campaign used that to spread a message. QR codes, and then sort of talked about like that they would need to then design a pitch because they were going to be competing for, and presenting something to a panel of judges. So all these kids who didn't know each other spent the day with some guidance from Global Kids staff and Radio Rookies staff, spent the day kind of coming up with like a series of tools that might combat sexual cyberbullying. And so as you can see here on this screen, they had sort of particular, you know, things that they were trying to aim for. They didn't actually get this. This is what the judges had. So in thinking about good design, like, was it, you know, what would be the technical mastery of it? Was it creative? And also the aesthetic value, like, was it actually something that people would be interested in because it was pleasing, and sort of just the overall presentation. So, and I'm just going to get, okay, so this was like an example of the kinds of pages that we were saying that kids were seeing. So, and this thing that circled in the middle of the screen, Our Sisters, was an idea that Temitayo had come up with as like a booklet that then you could click on and be a part of a community to fight these sorts of pages. So that was offered up as kind of an example. And this was their parameters. And basically, the winning team got a badge, of course. And it was kind of amazing how they sort of just jumped right in, worked together. And the winning team also included some girls who have developed, they're sort of already involved in app development, and they want to now take what they created and go forward with it in some way, and we're going to probably look for some more funding. So we're pretty excited.
That is great. Thank you, Kate. And thanks too for showing examples. It always helps so much to have the walkthrough, the stepwise walkthrough of what exactly how this all works. So thank you for the visuals. And everybody, I
And
hope you go ahead.
could I just realized there was one more piece that if folks wanted to actually listen to that piece, you can either go back to that SoundCloud, but it's also I don't know if you can see this bit on the screen. Do you see the school book thing that I just pulled up?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so this article here, which is on our site, kind of sums up sort of the winning project and also has some asylum keys if folks are interested. And if you have kids that you think would want to be a part of, that could be your sister. There's a Facebook page, there's a Twitter feed, all that.
Oh, great. Wonderful. And again, too, we'd love to hear how things go forward with the youth that are thinking of taking these ideas and moving them forward. Be great to hear how that stays going. So thank you, Kari. I'm sorry. Thank you, Kari, for sharing a little bit about That Could Be Your Sister. Such an interesting project. So we are at close to the end of the hour, and this worked out great. We did have another person scheduled who didn't make it, but we are probably going to do 2 more webinars to make sure that we get all 16 of the projects up on deck so they can share what their projects are. This is so helpful, really. I think reading about these projects is one thing, but being able to visualize and hear you talk about them and give us a lot of context, I know it's going to go a long ways to helping other people try and think of what might be possible in their communities. And people are so motivated, just like you are, motivated to do this kind of programming for their youth. So thank you for sharing your ideas and talking about a little bit about what happened over the summer. I really appreciate everyone taking time out of their busy days. And thank you to Ruby for getting us all sorted out and organized in this webinar. Does anybody have any questions before we wrap it up? I haven't seen too much coming via Chatzy, but if anybody wants to unmute and ask any questions of your colleagues, please feel free to do so. Or you can ask your question in Chatzy and I didn't see a lot of questions, so I'm going to assume that people were just sort of taking it in and probably taking notes and enjoying it. And we'll be back for another webinar, and we can always raise questions there. So I'm going to wrap up the webinar and thank everybody again for coming and talking about your projects. So helpful. And I'll be posting a recording about this in our listserv and also publishing this online so others can watch this. So thanks, everybody.